Hey, Quad Bros, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Glad to have you guys here and hope you guys are doing well. We're going to be talking today about one thing that has kind of been a topic in the community for quite a while now, and that has to do with the campaign system that we have in Enlisted right now. The current system where you just kind of level up and unlock one thing at a time is something that I think a lot of people have issue with. Something that I think a lot of people have been murmuring for a while that maybe it should be changed. Maybe it should be a little bit more like War Thunder with the tech tree. Maybe that would be a little bit better of a system. And so I thought it'd be fun to sit down and flex our design muscles a little bit and do exactly that and design a tech tree for the Allies Normandy campaign. Again, I know when I do these videos, I always do Allies in Normandy. It's just my most familiar faction. It really is. It's the faction I know the best. And so it's just easy to do it for the Allies in Normandy because you guys know it. I know it. It's just the easiest to do. So I know all you Axis fanboys out there, you might be annoyed by me doing that, but it's just the easiest thing to do for videos like this. So I'm probably going to keep doing that. But maybe if this gets a good, if you guys really like this, maybe we'll do one for the Axis as well. That could be pretty fun. Anyway. So let's talk first about why the campaigns might need to be reworked before we get into my actual rework for the campaign. So with our current system, as you level up, you just unlock one thing and you don't have a choice. And I think that not having a choice part of it is the worst part about it. Not having any kind of decision as to what you're grinding for makes the grind feel a lot worse because you can get stuck in situations where you go 3, 4, 5 levels without getting something that you actually wanted. And that makes the levels just feel a lot worse. It feels like, yes, you're working towards something, but there's so much just garbage in between that it doesn't really feel like a good thing. It just feels unnatural. It feels unfun, and it feels like you're just being kind of forced to grind a bunch of stuff that you just don't care about, because that's exactly what's happening, right? You are being forced to grind stuff you don't care about necessarily. And so I think that having some sort of tech tree system would really help the game in that regard. I don't think that it would even reduce the grind necessarily, at least not in ways that you implement it. I think that really it would just make the grind feel better, and because it feels better, that kind of is lessened, right? Like, I don't think War Thunder has a necessarily easier grind than Enlisted, but I think that War Thunder, because of the way that you can choose what to unlock and what order you want to unlock, feels a lot better of a game, right? It just feels better overall, because if I don't want to unlock the Panzer IV F2, I can just skip it. I can work right towards the Tiger or something like that, right? I can unlock a bunch of stuff that I don't want to be efficient, right? But ultimately speaking here, like in War Thunder, I can just unlock stuff in the order that I want to unlock, and that puts a lot more of the kind of choice on me, which just naturally feels a lot better as a player, right? So hopefully I've kind of communicated that. There are really two ways that I see the tech tree working. There's the way that I've implemented, which is basically a flow chart with interconnected things. So for example, to unlock, say, the BAR-A2, you have to first unlock the BAR-A1 and the M1 Thompson, right? You need both. And you guys will see what I'm talking about whenever I get into that here in a second. The other way that I could see them doing it would be implementing some sort of system like War Thunder has, where you basically unlock things as it goes, down a column. And as you unlock those things, say you need to have 5 things of level 1 unlocked, and then you can unlock anything from level 2, right? So the M3A1 grease gun, the Sten, the Lanchester, all those are level 1, and then the Thompson is level 2, and so you need to get 5 things from level 1 to unlock anything from level 2. Hopefully that is making sense to you guys, but if it doesn't, it's not really that big of a deal. I think that the system that I've implemented here is a lot better regardless. So let's jump into that and let's start. I'll show you guys kind of what I have come up with on my first pass of the system. All right, guys. So this is my proposed tech tree for the Normandy campaign. We'll get to vehicles in a bit here, but we're going to start with the infantry. Also, hopefully you guys can read this fairly well. I put it on dark mode. It was originally like light mode and it looked really bad. So I put this on dark mode. So hopefully it helps you guys. But as you can see here, guys, so you're going to start with the M3 SMG. You're going to start with the Ross rifle and your Sniper 1, and then we'll get to the vehicle again, like I said. Couple things before we get into it. So each row here each row here is basically a level XP requirement. So think, you know, the further down you go, the further the row is down, the more XP it's going to cost to unlock that thing. All right. So as just a quick example here, the BAR A1 takes longer or takes shorter time to unlock than the BAR A2. All right, and we'll get to the requirements across the board. So just looking at this, right, if we go to engineer ones, this is kind of the long range path, the short range path. Say you really wanted to unlock the M1 Garand, okay? In game right now, it would take you, say, you know, 9 levels or whatever it is. I think it's 7, so 7 or 9 levels, something like that, to unlock the M1 Garand. You'd have to go right all the way through those levels. In this system, you would just have to unlock the Lee Enfield, the M1 Carbine, and then the M1 Garand. You could just beeline right to the M1 Garand. That is something that you are allowed to do. If you do that, however, you're still stuck with the starting M3 SMG. You're still stuck. You're not getting the Gunner 1. You're not getting anti-tank weapons. You're not getting, you know, the flamethrower squad that you'd unlock first. There's lots of stuff that you're kind of skipping out on by just beelining straight for the M1 Garand. And so that's kind of what the basis of the system is set up on. It's the idea that while you can just push for a certain thing that you want, like say you really want the Thompson, then you can just push Sten, Lanchester, Thompson, easy peasy, right? Now you have a Thompson. But if you do that, then you are losing out on a lot of other things in this tree. You're losing out on Gunner 1s, you're losing out on BARs, you're losing out on M1 carbines. And this is just a first pass. There's other things that can be, you know, interconnected here. Like if we wanted to, we could just slap the flamethrower in here, right? We could make the flamethrower be a requirement for getting Assaulter 2s to kind of increase that grind if we felt that it's kind of unbalanced and too many people are getting Thompsons too fast, right? You can move the Winchester up to this level, right? And then make it instead a connection for the M1 Thompson, right? You could do that. That's something that you could do if you really wanted to, right? There's lots of things that you can kind of do to make this system take a little bit longer to grind, right? If that is necessary and that's something that the devs want to do, it's pretty easy to just kind of change how things are connected. Like for example, here again, if you want the BAR-A2, you got to get the BAR-A1 and the M1A1 Thompson to unlock the BAR-A2. But what this looks like then is, you know, you have to grind out a lot. You have to get the Lee Enfield, the Bren, the BAR-A1, the A2, and then the M3A1 Sten and the Lanchester and the M1A1 Thompson, and then you can get the BAR-A2. Right? And if you're doing all of that, you're also missing out on the M1 Garand. You don't have the M1 Garand in that situation, right? These levels are going to cost a lot more as it goes down because you're unlocking more. Like if you just wanted to go straight for the M1919A6, you could do that, right? You really could do that. If it's not clear, this BAR-A2 is connected to the M1919. But you could do that, right? You could just rush for the M1919A6, but if you do, you're losing out on a lot of other stuff here. You're losing out on the M1 Garand. You don't have flamethrowers, you don't have Wincher, you don't have Thompsons, or you would have Thompsons because you have to have it, but you wouldn't have M1 Thompsons, you wouldn't have drum mags, you wouldn't have snipers, you wouldn't have bazookas, you wouldn't have, you know, grenade launchers, M1 carbines. Like there's so many things that you're missing out on if you choose to just rush out like that, which I think leads to some really interesting decisions on the part of the player. That's what I was talking about before. Like having the player actually have control over what they are grinding will make the campaign and make the grind feel a lot shorter, even if it is actually the same, if not longer, right? Because you have that choice, you have that control over what you want to get and what you want to grind for, and that just feels a lot better. So you're not grinding a BF 109 when you don't want to. It's also going to, you know, change based on the vehicles because we have the vehicle tree over here. And if you're grinding and you beeline for the M1919A6, well, if you're running into Panthers and stuff, then you're going to be in trouble, right? You know, like you're going to start out with the M8 Greyhound versus the Puma, of course. I just think the M8 Greyhound is a better matchup against the Puma, not because it's necessarily more balanced, but because it just makes more sense to have an armored car versus armored car. It has the same gun as the M5A1, it's just less armored, and the Puma is going to pin either one either way, so it doesn't really matter. Anyway, so you got the M8 Greyhound here, and then you get the M5A1. You basically have your tank tree over here, and then you have your anti-tank tree over here. These are all tank destroyers. These are going to be very bad against infantry. That's the point of them. They are all open top. They are very, very ineffective against enemy infantry, right? But they will absolutely demolish enemy tanks. That's the idea. I want to give players the ability to get anti-tank capabilities against Panthers, against Jumbos, stuff like that. So then you're not suffering at the hands of a Panther or a Jumbo by a high-level player. You have a way of dealing with them as long as you have unlocked these. Right, that's kind of the idea there. But you can see the tree here. So into the M4 Sherman, which is going to be the basis for the Americans. That's going to let them unlock the 105 if they have the M8 Scott. It's going to let them get the Jumbo. It's going to let them get the EZ8 if they also have the 76. And then once you have all of these, you're going to get the Jumbo 76, and then ultimately the Pershing once you've got the Jackson as well. The German tree would probably look more or less similar, with an anti-tank tree here, and then leading into maybe the Jagd Tiger, the Jagd Panther, some big tank, maybe the King Tiger, although I am of the opinion that the King Tiger should be in Berlin, but we'll see what happens there. Maybe this should be the Tiger. I don't know. Regardless, and then we have the air path, and I think the air path is the thing I'm least happy with. I think this is the thing that needs the most most work, which is just goes to show how kind of bad planes are in their current implementation, but topic for another video. So you got your fighter tree and you got your bomber tree. Fighters are air superiority fighters. They do not have any kind of ground attack other than their cannons or machine guns. They are not meant to be shooting ground targets. They are meant to take out enemy planes. And then you have your bomber groups. Your bombers, these are bombs. These drop bombs. Okay, no rockets, nothing like that. That's going to be reserved for our fighter bomber tree in the middle here. So these are just big bombers. These are Ju-188s. These are your big B-25 Mitchells, right? These wreak havoc, but on the ground targets, but they have very little air-to-air capability. So that's going to make fighters very useful. Yes, I know the P-40E did not fight in Normandy, at least not really, but it's kind of hard with the Americans because it's just a bunch of variants of P-51s, which is not really that fun. Anyway, you get the middle tree. I think that personally, my idea and my best thing for this would be to implement a fighter bomber role, which is just a different kind of subset of class for the planes, right? It's a different squad type, but I don't think they'll do that. And so I kind of classify these internally as fighter bombers. They basically function as not as good in the air as fighters and not as good against ground targets as bombers, but good enough at both. One note here is that the P-47D here would not have its bomb. It would not have the 500 pounder. These are going to be a lot more effective against infantry, I think, although the M8 rockets and the HRs can take out enemy vehicles fairly easily, especially the P-38. So that's kind of my idea here, guys. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on all of these trees here, what you guys might change, what you guys liked about this, if you guys like this system, if you don't like the system, if you like our current system and you don't really think it needs to be changed, I'd love to hear that too. Let me know in the comments down below, guys. Remember, as always, to like and subscribe. It does help me out. It does help out the channel. I appreciate it a lot. Remember, you can also come follow us, twitch.tv/HeyQuadro. Love to have you guys over there hanging out with me, playing some Enlisted or whatever game we decide to be playing on whichever day you decide to come in. And finally, guys, you can join our community Discord, jump in with some people that are, it's just a great community overall. Love to hear you guys over there. But without anything else, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time. Take it easy.